Good evening, beautiful people. It's showtime again. I'm Mariya Dimitrova, and I'm an intuitive coach and a CAP facilitator. I'll talk about CAP in a second and what it stands for, where it's coming from, in case you've missed out my previous talk. I specialize in connecting women with their intuition and their life force energy, so that they can create a beautiful life full of inspiration, love, and pleasure. I do this in two simultaneous ways. One is deep intuitive work, and the other one is deep CAP work. And both of them complement each other really, really well. CAP stands for Kundalini activation process. For those of you who've missed out on last week's show, you could probably appreciate it. It stands for would appreciate a bit of clarification. So CAP stands for Kundalini activation process. And last week we spoke about where it comes from, what it is, and how it can really be used to benefit ourselves and our lives. And it was more like an overview, like a high-level overview. Whilst today's session, we're going to dive really deep into how Kundalini can really help us realize our full potential. This is the topic of today. So thank you very much to everyone who is joining us here live tonight to really hear about CAP in more detail. So really dive deep into each and every aspect that CAP affects in us when we're in a CAP session. So CAP affects us on mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and an energetic level. We know that all of these levels are intertwined, and none of those levels exist as a separate level on its own. As we spoke last time, CAP is a transmission of two simultaneous energies. The ascending energy, which is the energy that helps us connect to source, to our high levels of consciousness, and really connect us to the level of freedom and peace and in connection that we can't experience in our normal states of being in our everyday life, filled up with all of the different thoughts and feelings and emotions which actually block that source energy to flow through us and that awareness to be there. In the descending energy, the Kundalini energy that helps us really ground and operate with our high levels of consciousness here in our three-dimensional world where we are human beings and we need to be present and really orientate ourselves in this life so that we can actually realize that great potential that we have and carry within. So that's a little bit of a recap from last week. So now let's delve into all these different layers that CAP affects within us. So starting with the mental, on the mental level, CAP affects us by really helping us realize and understand our deep and ingrained beliefs that we have. The beliefs that we have ever since we were children. Because whilst growing up, we develop these connections within our brain, neuron connections that actually help us process what we're going through in a more efficient way in life. What I'm trying to say is that our unconscious mind processes 400 billion bits of information every second. Every second. 400 billion bits of information every second, of which only 2,000 bits are conscious. We are only conscious. All these thoughts, no matter how many thoughts you have during a day, this is only the 2,000 bits of information that you are aware of on a daily basis. There is 400 billion bits of information that our brains and our minds are processing every second that we're not aware of. And in order to be able to process this enormous amount of information, the brain and our consciousness need some sort of consistency, and a reliable source that can really store information. And the way it stores information is by creating neurological connections within our brain to help us recognize situations that are similar to what we've been through before. And on that level, this is super helpful because every situation that we encounter, we do not see it with fresh eyes. We see it through the eyes of our perceptions from the past. and that really helps our brain really focus on processing all the new information, because otherwise we're going to be so overwhelmed in every second of our lives that if we were a computer, we would be a computer with a very slow processor, like where our processors are just really burning because they're going to be just overloaded with all the information that we deal with on an everyday basis. And I'm not talking just about social media, I'm talking about every single piece of information, every single thing that surrounds us in this room, or on the streets, or on this, just in everywhere we go. So this quality of our brain, or our consciousness, really is really useful, because it helps us not being overwhelmed on a daily basis, help us really process information much more efficiently. But the drawback of this is that when we encounter situations, we don't see them with our fresh eyes. So we're not really objective in every situation. We don't consider what's true and what is in our highest and best good in every moment, but we react based on the archives that we kept stored in our minds. So why am I explaining this? Because whilst we are growing up, we develop these perceptions and these neuron connections within our minds that things work in a certain way. And perhaps there are people on this planet that grew up with the belief that they're unlovable, or that they don't deserve to be loved. And when we perceive life from that perception, what happens is that even if we meet somebody that we like, we're not going to be able to approach this person or to show this to this person. We're not going to be able to take action towards what's in our highest and best good, is to be with somebody that we love and we really care about, because we have that belief. And 9 out of 10, we will miss the opportunity to be with somebody amazing simply because we believe that. We believe things that are not real. And this is why they're called beliefs. So growing up, we made up all these beliefs in our mind that really prevent us from having an open mind and going for what is true and in our highest and best good in life. And what CAP does, because CAP is an intelligent force. If you haven't watched my previous video, what is CAP and how it really works in us, please do watch it, because it's going to give you really good background for the information that I'm presenting right now. But what CAP does is really goes, this intelligent force, when it goes in us, it really helps us detach from the emotional and mental burden. It helps us release the conflict that we carry within when it comes to those neuron connections. It really helps us just free ourselves from those perceptions and really be objective and really be connected more to what is true for us, rather than relying on these preconceived perceptions about life and about ourselves. So what CAP does is really helps us to free our minds, to really free and open up space, not just from our thoughts, but in our unconscious minds as well, to really process all that's blocking us, all these inner conflicts that we have, and really helps us to open up, to really open up to what is true and what's in our highest and best good in life. And the gold in this, why this is so valuable, is because our life is just a reflection of our consciousness. It's a beautiful mirror. What we are connected to, we have in our lives. What we are not connected to, we don't have in our lives. So if you just lay out in front of you all the different aspects of your life, your love life, your intimate life, your friendships, your work life, whatever you want, and just put it on a scale from 1 to 10 and determine to what extent your life is exactly like you'd want it to be. And if it's not 100%, then you've gotten in a conflict that doesn't allow that to happen. And you might be doing thousands and millions of affirmations, and you might be creating vision boards and convincing yourself that you want and you deserve certain something. But until you resolve that inner conflict that you have, you will not be able to attain. You will not be able to attain and create what you truly love. And the reason for this is because even though we might be aware of what we love, if we're not connected to that vibration, we will we will not be able to have that in our lives. It's just simply impossible. We only have what we are, what we vibrate with. This is the vibration that's going to be in our lives too. So if you just look around, I really just dare you to stop for a second and just look around and invite, just in your minds, to see different aspects of your life and to see to what extent they really resonate with your truth and what you really want these things to be, these aspects to be. And really notice, because sometimes we think that we're connected to these things in our minds, but we're not, because we delude ourselves. We could be delusional. We're not completely honest with ourselves, and we are not aware of everything that's going on in our minds. Remember, 400 billion bits of information, right? How can you be really aware of all that? You can't. And this is why you need to be able to go deeper and sink into your deeper truths in order to be able to release those inner conflicts and become more aligned with what you love, in order to be able to create that. So that's what CAP helps us do, right? That's what CAP helps us do. Helps us really understand all those inner conflicts that we have. In fact, CAP points us to the things that are really important for us to process right now. So if you were gonna receive a CAP session right now, it's only going to point you, it's only going to show you, give you the experience that you need right now. It's only going to point you to the things that you really need to know and free yourself up from right now. So it's not going to help you process everything, but it's only going to help you process what you really need right now. And that will be different for everybody, because everybody is at a different moment in their life, in stage of their life, and in a different place in their life, and in their growth and development and self-awareness journey. So the easiest way, I'm going to take you through a little exercise. I'm going to take you through a little exercise where you will understand and recognize where you really have a blockage, or when you really have a conflict within you. Imagine that you really want something. Imagine that something, whether that's success or love or intimacy or whatever it is, doesn't matter. Imagine that thing right in front of you. And just close your eyes and just imagine it. Imagine it in your mind's eye, just flowing to you, just coming to you. Coming to you as just a flow, as a river. And imagine this is just coming to and just hitting you and going inside of your body and just kind of overtakes you, and you kind of have no choice. You just kind of have it now in your life. And I want you to take a second to notice the emotions and the thoughts and the experience of your body that you start having. Imagine that this thing is just giving you different sensations in your body, and I just want you to observe them, to take a second to observe them. And define them. Is that excitement? Is that sadness? Is that panic? Is that, are you just blocked? You don't know what to do, paralyzed? Just imagine what that thing is. How does it make you feel? Having exactly what you want. And I'd like you to remember that, because that's going to really show you whether you have an inner conflict with what you'd love or not. If you experience strong emotion that's out of balance, everything that's within the range of being balanced, you're aligned with it, and you would already have it in your life. But if you have a strong emotion that's on the positive or the negative end of spectrum, whether that is great excitement, euphoria, or or sadness or panic, or just stumbled and you just don't know what to do with it, all of that shows that you have it in a conflict. So that exercise is suitable to see whether you have it in a conflict or not, but it's not exactly suitable to see what is that conflict, because you'll need to dig deeper into it. But it's great to see whether you have a conflict, internal conflict with what you want. And if you do have that inner conflict, I bet that you don't have that thing. If you don't have an inner conflict, you would already have that in your life, because it's impossible to have something that you're not aligned to. which explains why a lot of people, when they have an inner conflict with something and they repeat certain affirmations, they get to a point where they change their vibration forcefully with the affirmations, and they receive that. They have a taste of what they love for a second, for a certain amount of time, and then they swap back in an oscillating structure, and then they lose it. It's not sustainable because they have not gone through the root cause of the problem. Because once you have that thing, your mind goes, oh yeah, now I have it. And then boom, it disappears because you've not dealt with your inner conflict. If you deal with your inner conflict and you really free yourself up from it through a self-realization or an emotional release, which can happen through CAP, as we're going to talk about it in a second, you are not going to be free from it. And you will never be able to experience the true freedom from it when you can actually truly have it. Stanislava is writing to us comments. I love your knowledge. I just want to really encourage everyone. I really want to encourage everyone to write comments, to ask questions. I love to communicate, and not just for this not to be just a lecture, but to be a two-way conversation. I love to see your comments and your questions so that I can tailor what I'm talking about and make it of use to you. So feel free to comment or to ask anything that would be of benefit to you. I'd love that. And even if you're watching this as a recording, please feel free to comment below, because I'll be really happy to go through the comments later and share with you more information. Alexis, hello. Very happy to see you. Right, so let's just continue with that conversation. Very, very happy to see you all here. Very, very happy. Right, so if we continue with the emotional side of things, so the way CAP works emotionally with us is, you can see how emotional, physical, and mental is all connected, right? It's very difficult to actually separate them. But when we go into the emotional world, we see that there's just this clouds of energy within our bodies, that are blocked because we didn't allow ourselves to experience the full extent of that emotion at the moment we created it. And that could be joy. You'll be surprised that there are people that don't allow themselves to feel joy because they feel that they don't deserve that. They don't deserve to feel good, and therefore they suppress joy. So when they come to CAP, there's literally huge amounts of joy that they experience, so that they can release them, and open themselves up to what's underneath. And sometimes underneath is not joy, and underneath sometimes is something else. Sometimes it's anger, and when once you allow yourself to experience that anger, it connects you to deeper levels of power that you might have not experienced before, you might have not connected to before. I've as a child myself, I suppressed my anger quite a lot, and I was not able to express frustration and anger in an empowered way in my life, therefore not being able to put boundaries, and then allowed people to take advantage of my boundaries, because when I was a child, I had moments where in my family people used to scream and shout, and for me, in my mind, I labeled that emotion as bad emotion and didn't allow myself to experience it. And when I started doing CAP, before CAP was intuitive work, but it was through CAP when I connected to these depths of anger that I've carried within myself, and through that I actually managed to release the dysfunctional anger that I blocked, and I opened up space and connected to such deep power within me that I never thought existed. And it was such an empowering experience. And obviously you can see how it affected me in my life, putting boundaries and being empowered in every moment to say yes or a no, has massively benefited me on every level, whether that's personal or professional life. You can clearly see it's super important. And with CAP, you can really go deep with your emotions. It will help you not only cleanse and clear and open up space, for more depth, but it will really open you up for states that you might not have experienced, like blissful states, connection to source, the sweet emotions that come out of it, to feel at home and to feel supported and to feel safe in life, and that is really key. That is really, really key to experience and transform that way of thinking if you have blockages around that. So that's the emotional level. On a physical level, CAP really helps us be connected to our bodies and to the processes that are happening within our bodies. So CAP can really connect you to your senses for what's really good for you to eat and drink, because not everything that's tasty is really good for us. And the body can really act during CAP. So if you get vomiting sensations, or if you get discomfort in your stomach, or intestines, or anything related to that, it's usually related to your diet and the way you eat and the way you consume products in your life. But also connects us to the cycles that we're experiencing. Child, woman, a grandma, or for men as well, their version of that, or through the different periods and cycles of when do I want to rest, when do I want to wake up. It really helps you connect to the presence of what is right now and what you really need right now, and really opens your senses to what's best for you, to really detect what's really best for you, and shows you the different cycles and changes that you're going through in your body, because different, every day could be different. And unless you become more aware and more sensitive to what you are in your physical body, you will not be able to respond to that stimulus from within, that impulse that's coming through. You'll not be able to pick it up. And that's what CAP does. CAP makes us really sensitive to our bodies and our sensations and our impulses and our intuition, and really enhances the ability to hear and listen our intuition, to really hear our intuition, which is our GPS in life, right? It's really what connects us to our highest levels of consciousness, and help us to really make the decisions that are in our highest and best good, and are in the highest and best good of our loved ones as well. So there were two other layers that I want to talk about: spiritual and energetic. On a spiritual level, CAP really helps us to connect to the source. And some people call it God, some people call it greater consciousness, universal consciousness. You can call it whatever you like, but the truth is, you will experience the greatest level of connection and peace and freedom, and you just feel one with everything to a level that cannot be explained with words. So this is why people call it, I've felt closest to God that I've ever felt before during CAP. And that's because CAP makes available for us states that monks in the East had to spend years in meditation and practice to get. And as we know, practices evolve just like human beings, and the world evolves. So we no longer need to spend that amount of time to reach to those states of consciousness, because we don't have that time. And nowadays we can see tools that helps us get there quicker, helps us process our traumas and pains and everything that we're going through in a lot quicker, because we operate in such a fast and dynamic world that we don't have the time to do that. And processes, just as our bodies and human life evolves, and these are new tools that are constantly appearing, and energy transmission, human beings, we're now open. We are finally open to receive wisdom without speech, to be taught without speech, to learn without speech, but through experience. So that through what this energy, through this source energy, can really teach us. And that's what CAP really is. On an energetic level, CAP is amazing because it makes us feel alive. In the end of the day, Kundalini is our life force energy, is what really helps us feel alive and motivated and inspired to overtake, just to take charge in our lives, and just not overtake the world, but really the feeling that, oh my God, I'm just alive and I love to be alive, It's just that sense of having more than enough energy, not only to go by the day and just survive, oh, I just want the day to pass, but to really actually live that life, really live that day, and have that motivation to do everything well, to show up to yourself, to your loved ones, to your colleagues in the best possible light, because you will have that motivation and that energy to do it. It's just beautiful. You can see that CAP really is such a beautiful tool that touches us on such a deep level, on so many levels, that it's impossible not to create deep transformation with it. And the beautiful thing is that it's completely safe. It's totally safe, and you can only really be supported. You can be really, really supported. There's one thing I want to mention though. CAP is not an external force that comes and fixes your life or fixes you. I don't want you to get that impression. CAP is a tool that helps you to become more self-aware. It's an intelligent force that helps us connect deeper with who we really are, helps us with helps us to connect with our talents in our deeper truths. But we have to be the one that makes space for that energy and give chance for that energy to show us, to really open up and trust, the process and what's really uncovering and opening up for us. And also, even though CAP can help us really release and become even more self-aware and release a lot of energetic blockages and make us more self-aware and therefore bring a lot of opportunities, we're the ones responsible to take action on saying yes to those opportunities and grabbing those opportunities or putting boundaries when we need to. So we are in charge of our lives. CAP is not an external force that's going to come and save you. CAP is a tool that's going to empower you. It's going to empower you to become more connected, more grounded, deeply rooted in your own truth, and charge you with energy to really create and manifest all that you really are. All of you, because all of you has the right to exist, and all of you deserves to exist. And it's up to really us, because we're the responsible ones to take that action. And I'd like to take the chance actually to really invite you to my free masterclass that I'm doing on Saturday. I'm doing on Saturday a free masterclass where I'll talk you through what's going to happen during the session, and you will receive a 30 minutes energy transmission. It's going to be online on Zoom, so you don't need to be physically absolutely anywhere apart from the comfort of your own homes, and you will try what this energy does for you. Obviously, I don't expect you to be like an advanced student of CAP. I don't expect this energy to shift you for 30 minutes and transform your life in 30 minutes, because it's like yoga. You only get what you're open to, and there's no right or wrong way. There's no better or worse. You are where you are. But because sometimes it takes people a couple of sessions to just really open up and trust the energy, because sometimes people are just in their minds and they can't relax, and the energy can only really work if you surrender to it. If you're not surrendered to it, nothing's really going to happen. You're only just going to reside in your thoughts of, oh my God, what's going to happen? When actually, when you surrender, this is when the magic happens. So come along, give it a try. I've not met a single person that actually doesn't love this energy, because even emotional processing or emotional release actually feels amazing, simply because of the nature of this work, of this energy. So come along, try it out. And in my masterclass, you'll also hear about how to subscribe to a CAP, how to receive CAP sessions on an individual or an individual one-on-one session or in a group. We are going to talk about the subscriptions that I offer, the new programs, which are 6 months programs, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more in detail in there. So come along, try it out, test it out, see whether that's for you, see whether that's something that really resonates with you, and we will take it from there. Also, feel free to invite your friends if you have friends who are open for self-awareness and would love to try different tools for self-awareness. Please do invite them in. I'll actually post here the link to register. If you give me 1 second, the link to register is hang on 1 second. Just want to see where I've put it. So the link to register is right here. Okay, there we go. There we go. So the link to register is here. So in the comments, so please feel free to register. It's free registration, free class. It's only going to be for a couple of hours on a Saturday. It's going to be 1 p.m. in the UK. So feel free to join and pop in. It will be really interesting. It will be really magical. I'll talk you through all the details then. So feel free to pop in. A few. I was going to make a couple of other comments about what CAP really does, what CAP has really done for me and for my clients, but I'll actually save it for the masterclass. So come along and we will hear all about it, all the different examples of what CAP is really capable of doing and what it has done in its history. So you'll be amazing to have you there and have a little journey together. So I'm going to wish you have a good evening. Thank you very much for being here live. I love being live with people because we can actually communicate and create that space for communication. But to those of you who are watching this offline and have questions, please do write comments. I'll be watching this space even after we hang up. So I will be answering your questions if you have any. So thank you very much for being here, for dedicating that time for yourself, really to educate yourself on that topic. And I would absolutely, I'll be looking forward to seeing you there. Have a beautiful evening. Sending you lots of love and life force on the way. See you soon.